Hello, this is Yaragamani. I'm a management coach and a trainer. So I welcome you all for this session, a brief session to just understand about what is Six Sigma. So followed by that, we'll be planning a 2 days, a detailed program very shortly. So we will allow to invite you for that session also to get more benefited on this particular aspect. So when you say what is Six Sigma? Six Sigma is a tool which is being used in a greater extent of particularly the reducing the variations in a process. Okay, so that's the thing, and by doing that, brings a big benefit for organization on cost reduction. Okay, so just a background of Six Sigma, it is being initiated in 1986 by Motorola, a big giant. We know that all of you know that. And Sir Bill Smith is the father of Six Sigma, who introduced improvement methodology in Motorola. When it says sigma, it's a standard deviation, it's a measure of variability, and sigma is a quality improvement philosophy that focuses on eliminating the defects through reduction of variation in a process. Defect is a measurable of outcome of the particular thing. Then, what is the variation? We have to reduce the variation we're talking about here. What is the variation we're talking about here? So, any business process or any manufacturing process is bound to have variations because we have a set of variabilities we are using that. So for example, using raw materials, we're using the different process, we're using the skilled force, and also for example, for the skilled force also, the person who will be operating today may not be same the next day, it may be different. So that the situations is something, a lot of variations in the thing itself. So this can bound to have create a variations in the process. Okay, so it is to be basically it is a defect reduction tool. That by defect reduction we can go for cost reduction also, and senior management is be held accountable for this particular Six Sigma projects and things. So objective of Six Sigma is basically it's overall business improvement. If you have the variability reduction, reducing the cost, improving the cycle time, and ultimately it is increasing the customer satisfaction. So lean and Six Sigma thinking. So lean is a different aspect where it focuses on uh, waste identification and reduction. Waste identification and reduction. That is lean. Six Sigma thinking basically focuses on variations in a process and thereby reducing the variation and thereby minimizing the defects or minimizing the rejections in the process. So the methodology which is used is DMAC uh, widerly, and also we use DMADV for design related issues. Six Sigma is 99.9997% level. Why not 100%? Questions should arise in our mind. So because there is the reason is that any process is bound to have variations. It cannot be 100%. Only possibility is that we can eliminate the variation in the process, but one possibility is that we can try to reduce the variations in the process. So Sigma is about eliminating the defects and deliver the product and services to meet the end customer requirement or specifications as per that. Benefits is cost reduction, employee productivity, employee stakeholder satisfaction, cycle time reduction, improved performance, accelerated problem solving, and time management. So finally, it brings out enhanced organizational capability. So customer, we have external and internal customers. So most of you have heard about external customers only, to whom we carry out a business transactions there. Then what is about internal customers? Internal customers are between the functions, internal within the organization, between the functions. So when internal customers are aligned together and for the common cause of achieving the final end customers. So variation is basically it's a measure of dispersion and also measure of spread. So this was the thing I was mentioning that basic operating system which is there is the output is we want a desired output, then we should have a well-defined inputs and process or conversion should happen. So then like if we say inputs like raw material, purchase parts, personal, then product information, customer needs, machineries and equipment should be fit and good enough. Then the process should happen as per the desired process or as per standard operating procedures. Otherwise, what will happen? I am not able to get a desired output finally. So that can be some way that undesirable factor is can be called as a defect or rejections in this case. So variance reduction that if you see this bell-shaped curve is away from the USL and LSL, upper specification limit and lower specification limit. And finally, what you want, the goal should be always should be we should meet the target specification. That means the bell-shaped curve should be the width should be thinner and the height should be the maximum. So that means that it indicates that it is serves a purpose and it is a 6 sigma level. So it indicates that the variation is at the minimum most. One quick example of understanding this concept of variability: if you want to park a car in a garage, it requires a lot of variability, because the said reason is that the driver who is driving should have the skill, and the thing is the width of the opening of the entrance of the garage should be wider. We cannot expect that every time should be we have wider opening. That could be very shorter also. So during the time, the driver has to considering the specific limits to the left and right. So you should park the center. Then what should be the case? You should do it. You should make the car center and the garage entrance center should be at the same line. Secure phases like DMAC, like initially define the project goals and the customer deliverables. Here we start with a project charter basically, and also a SIPOC analysis. And measure is basically measure the process to determine the current performance to understand. Otherwise we will not be knowing that what is the degree of variation. Okay, so analyze and determine the root cause of the defects. Basically improve the process by eliminating the defects. Then the control phase, last phase is to sustain what are the improvements has been carried out. So one important tool we can fit into this particular thing is POCAI-OK. Tools and used for Six Sigma is process mapping, designs of experiment, XY matrix, measurement system analysis, process capability tool, failure mode effect analysis, and control plan. These are the tools which can use in part of the thing. CP, that is process capability studies, is a measure of knowing the variations in the process. That is CP, we call as, which is used formula of USL minus LSL divided by Six Sigma. Another thing is process capability index, that is CPK. Sigma formula is square root of summation of x minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1, where n is number of sample. X bar is a process average. Sigma project selection. So we cannot, in a business organization, we cannot take all the projects together. It's quite difficult. You take on voice of the customer, voice of the business, and voice of the process. These will be 3 inputs for that. This has to get translated into project. So there also we should have a small checkpoint that we can prioritize the project based on strategic requirements and economic value and time and effort. So that means if a project should be, the timeline of the project should be as minimum as possible, and the cost benefit out of the project should be the maximum one. So thank you very much for the patient listening. So soon we will see for today's detailed program. Thank you for your attending this session. Thanks from my side.